Good evening. Welcome to the June 17th, 2025 meeting of the Trumbull Economic and Community Development Commission. I'll call the meeting to order at 6:32. We can start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so it looks like we do have a quorum. All right, so we have to approve 2 months of minutes, the April and May. And just note that if you weren't present at one of the meetings, it's still okay for you to approve them. So you can still approve the minutes. It's important with the slim quorum that we do have everybody approving them, otherwise they'll be unapproved.
Okay.
So can I get a motion to approve the April 2nd minutes?
Evelyn, I approve the April 2nd minutes.
Thank you. Second?
I can second.
Thank you. Anything remarkable? Any corrections? No?
No.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Abstentions? Thank you. And can I get a motion to approve the May minutes?
Or Evelyn, I'll approve the May minutes.
Thanks. Can I get a second?
You might have, whoever's trying to talk probably has their mute on. Can we get a second? You might be muted.
Massimo, is that you? You second?
Well, I didn't attend, but I read the minutes. They seem
Okay.
fine to me, but I can
Okay.
second.
Good. Yeah, you don't have, I
Good.
mean, you could
Mhm.
still vote to approve them even if you're not present.
Sure.
Okay.
I will second them.
Okay, thank you. So I just had a couple small corrections here. Page 2 in the middle. Talking about 6 Cambridge Drive. She informed that several groups had the property, so just a small change there to the word had, right in the middle of the page. And page 3, in the third major paragraph in the middle, talking about the Long Hill Schoolhouse, John A. Christian Heritage School. So just change the word Christian. Anything else?
Christina, it says.
Anything else? No? All right, all in favor of approval of those minutes?
Aye.
Any against? Abstentions? Thank you very much. Chairman's report. Carol's not feeling well, so she's in our thoughts. We're hoping for a speedy recovery. And on to the director's report, Rena.
I will, Layla is on via telephone. She just sent me a notice. So I'm looking to see if we can see her. Let's just, excuse me 1 second. Oh, here she is. Layla, can you hear us? I see somebody down at the bottom here, the 347 area code. That's Layla.
Yeah.
And so I just want to make sure she can hear us. She's muted. Okay. Bill, sometimes don't you have to do *6 on the phone or no? There she is.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Sorry
Okay.
about. Okay, you can hear us
Got
okay
it.
too?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sorry about that, everyone. I wanted to start the director's report with an update on the mall situation. Some of you have been reading the press. As you note from the recap in our minutes from May, we discussed the mall, the disposition of the mall back in May, and there's been some follow-up things. There's a lot going on. I know First Selectman Tesoro is scheduling with our council of leadership an update to the town council in the fall. We'll be doing a pretty comprehensive update to the town council then. But between now and then, there's certainly a lot of things playing out. Some of those things are public, some of them are not. But you'll recall in May where I discussed that NAMDAR the owner of the mall had defaulted on March 1st on their debt. We had expected that that was going to be the case. They entered into a workout process, and that workout process is continuing. However, as that workout process is progressing, there was an order for an interim manager to take over the mall. So Centennial, who owns the Connecticut Post Mall and manages it and owns and manages all kinds of mall properties, they're more of a what we call an institutional owner manager. This is what they do. They manage mall properties. So they have taken over all management and leasing for the mall. If you go to the website, you'll see Centennial on the bottom of the website to contact and so forth. We have a meeting, an internal meeting on the 25th. It was the 25th. Yeah, 25th with Centennial, with their folks that'll be in the region here. Historically, First Selectman Tesoro and I have met with the CEO of Centennial on multiple occasions over the years. His name is Steve Levin, and we will meet with him again. But at this point, our next meeting is to really talk about them on the ground here and how they're going to be operating and some of our maintenance concerns, blight concerns, other things, so that they can get on top of this and we can establish our working relationship with Centennial. I want you to know that we see this as a very positive step, that I think over time you're going to see things get cleaned up. I think you're going to see a more professional management and effort at the mall. And we're looking forward to our partnership with Centennial. Centennial has not purchased the mall. I just want to be clear about that. They've stepped in as an interim manager, very well respected in the shopping center community, if you will. And so, and by nationals, tenants. So I think that this is going to give a little shot in the arm to our mall effort. Over time, well, it becomes, I can't say too much about what will transpire yet, but my feeling is there could be new ownership of the mall coming. What we are doing is promoting our study to everybody involved. That study has helped to show the value and opportunity at this mall. We should be very proud of that. And I think it's helped in this process, candidly. I know it has, not I think, I know it has. We are, and Gia knows from all the meetings we've set up, we are meeting with people regularly that have an interest in either buying the mall, locating at the mall, or the mall in general, partnering with some type of redevelopment there over time. What we're doing is stacking up those opportunities so that as the ownership situation plays out, we have a chute, so to speak, of folks that we can put into the process. Katie is one of our interns. I don't know if Chase is on yet. I don't see him, but he might be. There is one attendee, and I don't know who that is. So we have 2 interns with us this summer. Katie, who's on here, give a wave, a Yale University freshman. Oh, just finished your freshman year. Now you're has been doing a lot of work and helping me put some information together related to some of the people who are interested in the mall in various ways. So we're keeping our ducks in order, and we're stacking up our opportunities as appropriate. We have to allow this situation to play out. I am talking with the heads of real estate of all the big boxes because they're key to any redevelopment we do there. So we want them to be excited about a potential redevelopment, which they have signaled so far that they are. Of course, they have their own interest to protect, but they're excited that change is coming, that they see a better, brighter future for the property, and that's good for them. So we're doing that. And at the same time, we're also going to be forwarding some zoning recommendations that are in the study to planning and zoning, hopefully by August. They'll be taking that up. I need the commission's support on that. So I would ask you to go to the study, read the zoning memo. There might be some minor changes to it. in it before it's in final draft form. But I think that the commission should consider supporting those zoning changes. Those zoning changes are key to unfolding a vision of transformation for the area. They're also key to us being able to join as a member of the Connecticut Development Authority, which is a relatively new entity that the governor put in place last year. A gentleman named David Corse, some of you might know, is heading that. He's had a number of roles in the region or in the state. He was a deputy commissioner of the Department of Economic Community Development at one time. He worked for the city of Bridgeport in economic and community development. He worked for the Regional Plan Agency for years, and he most recently, prior to joining the Connecticut Development Authority, was in charge of the downtown special service district for Stamford. He was intimately familiar with the challenges at the Stamford Mall. So he's been a really important voice, and he is running the Connecticut Development Authority. And as members, we have to join members. So part of the membership is to make sure that your downtown or your transit area, development area has zoning in place that aligns with your vision of transformation. So we have to get the zoning in place. But we'll be working to join the Connecticut Development Authority. And what that authority will allow for us is not only some technical assistance as we move forward in the transformation of that area, but also financial resources in the forms of loans and grants that can help to gap fill some financing gaps on redevelopment efforts and so forth. We're also looking at a number of other potential tools to make sure that we are positioned for public-private partnership and infrastructure improvements that might be needed on the site. So we're working from multiple angles. We're working to stack up opportunities and interest in the mall area and its redevelopment. We're working with the big boxes to keep them engaged because they have the most covenants in their leases, and we need their cooperation over time. We're working with the holders, we're in touch with the holders of the debt. We're in touch with, now we're becoming in touch with the new managers, Centennial. We've worked with them before, as I mentioned. We're in touch with them to try to keep all of this together so that as things progress on the new ownership or the ownership front, however that goes, we're prepared to seize those opportunities and move things forward. It is complicated. There's a lot going on. The town cannot, be engaged in the middle of these negotiations and so forth. We have to take a hands-off approach in a lot of ways. So what we're doing again is we're not shy about promoting the actual opportunity. And as I said, we've got potential tenants, users, investors, and purchasers of the mall all talking to us. We're stacking those opportunities up, and we're hoping that as soon as this process plays out a little further, that there'll be an opportunity to start really moving on some of this. So it's actually happening faster than I thought it would happen, to tell you the truth. But everybody that we've sat down with gets excited about a transformation of that area and the opportunity from an economic development perspective that area presents. So we have a quote that we're using, and Gia will send it around to everybody, but it's Richard Branson's quote, and it says, "We are stubborn on the vision and flexible on the details." And I think that's how we have to approach the whole plan. So it's important for you to stay engaged as a commission. And I would hope that you can take up a conversation about the zoning side of it and about potentially supporting whether people show up to testify. Justin's done that in the past on behalf of the commission, or the commission does a letter. I mean, I don't know if there's some people that object to some of the zoning, so we'd have to make sure the commission's on board. But I really do think that you need to have a voice. And the reason, not just the membership in the Connecticut Development Authority, that's one reason to pass the zoning. But the other reason is investment isn't going to come if people have no assurance as to what the town wants to see and what's allowed there and so forth. So part of what's been exciting for people that we sit down with that are looking at this property as an opportunity and that's something we want to get involved with in the future is that there's so much work that's been done already to really unpeel what this opportunity is, and that the town is moving to position the property so that it is not going to be a huge uncertainty and lift to try to invest here, that there's real opportunity and that we've set the table to seize that opportunity. So this is critical. Does anybody have any questions about the mall? We do have an active blight citation on the mall that stems back from NAMDAR. We're still pursuing that even though Centennial took over, because until those blight issues are resolved, we're not going to stop the blight action. So that blight action is addressing potholes, it's addressing garbage, it's addressing landscaping issues, it's addressing some facade issues, and some other things. And Brian Fitzgerald, who's our blight officer, has been working extremely hard to document this, to follow up on all this. There is a process that has to be followed for blight fines and so forth, but he is moving that process along. We expect Centennial to take care of a lot of this, but again, the problems have not been remedied as of yet, and they need to be soon. So that's still activated as we speak. Are there any other questions on that before I move on to other issues?
No.
Hey, Rena, I just have a couple of questions. The first one is just to course correct any misinformation. Centennial has not purchased at this point.
No.
They're just managing, correct?
They are managing leasing, maintenance, and security oversight of the property. So they are, in essence, NAMDAR has no management authority on the property currently.
Thank you. And then the second question, you may not be able to speak to this, is Centennial interested in purchasing?
So I can tell you that First Selectman Tesoro and I have had, I believe, 3 meetings with them in the past. This is over the last, I'd say, 4 years prior to even NAMDAR buying it, because we knew URW was looking to sell off all their holdings. So we were trying to encourage Centennial to consider Trumbull. And at that time, they were not inclined to buy our property. When they bought Milford, they had looked at Meriden, Trumbull, and Milford, and they made a decision to buy Milford because of proximity to I-95, which is a locational advantage for retail. Not that our location is bad, but that's a stronger location, and that was their business decision at that time. Anything can change, and they have not signaled to us yet that they were willing to or looking to buy this. But as we show them more in upcoming meetings
Mhm.
that I just discussed about our plan, about the opportunity, who knows, if they might, and then if they're on site, working the site and managing it, they may develop a stronger interest. So they have not signaled yet, Massimo, and I think I'm being pretty candid with you. We've discussed it in the past because we're obviously trying to position them to get interested back when. But that could change. I can tell you that I'm not going to get into names, but I've met with 4 different groups so far over the last 3 months or so that are interested in purchasing the mall. One group I've met with twice. Another group is going to come visit. Again, I cannot insert myself in the middle of this with what the workout situation is. So my job is to stack up the interest and opportunities, and at the right time to those folks can make those connections, and I'll help make those connections with new ownership, or if this goes into receivership, which is where it's probably headed, then there would be an opportunity for all of that to come to surface. But right now, I'm not going to interrupt whatever's happening. So we've had, to give you an indication, we've had interest from hotels, from potential owners, from national warehouse type workplaces, um, potential tenants, and senior housing development, which is a goal for the site. We've had interest from all of those folks as a result of them hearing about what's happening there.
Mm.
So we're going to continue that effort. We're also going to be going out to some of the more local business groups. We're working to get onto the board of directors meeting for the regional business council so that Vicki and I can go in there and address the board of the business council so that there's more regional understanding of what is happening with the mall, because the mall impacts much more than Trumbull. A lot of folks work there. It's a regional job center. People are concerned and interested. So we're going to go out. We're going out to nationals. We're going out regionally. We're going out locally. And we will continue that all through this process so that we are as positioned as possible to move on a transformation and to be a partner in the transformation of this area. At the same time, I'm also keeping an eye up and ear up for grants that, again, funding sources, like I mentioned, the Connecticut Development Authority, but other grants that can help us in and around the property. There's a new program that the governor put in place. It's called Grayfields. We're watching that new program, not just for the mall, but for another property in town. That's a conversion, helps to convert obsolete commercial buildings to new uses, not just housing. Housing could be one use, but it could be other uses or to finance, or help fill a gap in a conversion of obsolete buildings. So that's a new program that is just unfolding out after this legislative session. We'll learn more about it. But just watching all of the funding, we're also watching any infrastructure funding because we do want to do some work on the Main Street corridor to improve that corridor. Remember, in the plan, we're looking not just at the mall property, but at that Main Street corridor as well. There may be grants to promote better walkability in and around the mall to help us design some of that more, with more, detailed design documents. So we're looking around all of this. And this is a grander scale, but when we tackled Long Hill Green on a smaller scale and less complicated in a lot of ways and more manageable, we took a similar approach. And you see there's been a lot of transformation in that area. Any other questions?
Thank you, Rena.
Sure. Okay, I wanted to move off of that and just thank Evelyn for attending the Macy's backstage opening. I was in Colorado. It was sort of a corporate run thing, so I think Vicki and Evelyn went and she represented. So thank you for that. I want to just note that we're in the process of trying to set up a ribbon cutting for the new Japanese restaurant. It's not ready yet, but we're working with them and we've been communicating with them. That's at 123 Monroe Turnpike next to Pronto. And we're working also on a ribbon cutting for the community garden. If you haven't been up to Abram Nichols Park to see the transformation of the community garden there, I would suggest you go up there. We'll be having an event. We just haven't calendared it yet. It's fantastic. That was done with a grant through the state that Representative Sarah Kitt helped us to secure. That area is now ADA accessible. It has raised beds. It's beautiful. It has pathways. It used to be all weeds and chips and it was hard to get around. So they're still finishing some of that and they're putting a small community garden with the same grant at the existing senior center. So that's still under construction, but we're going to be this summer, we're working on a date. G is helping me with Alicia to get a date for that. We'll be letting you know as soon as we do. I want to address the potential relocation of some people have been asking me about Mariana's. She is potentially relocating to a new site, and there is somebody that will be coming in to the place that she currently is in over the next few months. I am working with her as well as Paul Timpanelli, who's her real estate broker, on a new site. She has a letter of intent out that hasn't been finalized yet, but several people have called me asking that they heard Mariana's is closing. At this point, that is not the case. There's a relocation that we're working on, that we would keep Mariana's in town, and that there is a backfill slated for her spot. I'm going to hold off telling you what that is, but it's something that the community will definitely want and like, and it is a food-based type of user. And that, I'm telling you that without that all being buttoned up, and I usually don't get ahead of myself like that until something's signed, but I've been getting a number of people that have, I guess that word's gotten out, and I want you to know we are working to keep Mariana's here. She wants to be here. We have a spot. I'm hoping in the next week or so that she has a lease agreement for that spot. Trefoil Drive, I want to just address, this commission did support the Trefoil Drive. That is under appeal. It is moving forward. There has been some issue with the potential tenant, main tenant. However, there's several other things backing that up, so I'm not concerned at this point. But unfortunately, the process has to go through the courts, and it could be delayed a year, year and a half.
Mm.
So right now, the project is still strong, moving forward. And if a certain key tenant does back out, there are 2 backup tenants for that spot, so I'm not concerned at this point. I will tell you if I am, but unfortunately, it's still being delayed. The senior housing project for 12 Cambridge Drive, that is on the planning and zoning agenda for tomorrow night. If anybody's interested in that, I'd encourage you to chime in or visit in to the meeting tomorrow night. That's 124 unit senior housing development behind or sort of adjacent to the existing office building, which they're going to keep on some, kind of open land. 10% of the units are proposed to be designated affordable rents within the building, and it is only 55 or older. The medical building in Long Hill Green is under construction. It's going vertical, as you've probably noticed. It's, going by it. It's starting to go vertical. I think it will go up pretty quickly. In the next few weeks, you're going to start to see it really move once you start to get it, up and around. I wanted to mention that some, before I get to the community development update, I wanted to mention the Veterans and First Responders Center project. We had a bit of a setback. The bids came back for that project very, very high. So we're going to need to get some additional funding. Construction costs are really skyrocketing, unfortunately, and the more time that goes by, the more expensive a project gets. So we will need to raise some additional dollars for that. Ray Baldwin, who chairs the building committee, myself, Vicky has reached out to some of our legislative delegation. Ray has, I have. So we had a pending bond request in on the House side already because we knew we were going to be short. We tried to apply for STEEP funds. They didn't give us the STEEP money. They felt like we should go back to the bond commission. We thought we only needed about $500,000. We probably really need about $1.5 million dollars, maybe even a little bit more. They're going to cost engineer a little bit. So the bids came in on the June 12th, and they came back very, very high. So I believe we will get through this, but it's just a hurdle in terms of us accessing those additional dollars. And I think that our full delegation is behind trying to help us with that. So hopefully we're able to get some additional state bond dollars to finish up that project. I'll keep you informed as to what's going on. Community development, already mentioned the senior housing and the community gardens project. I want to mention House Bill 5002. Evelyn asked me, was when the beginning of the meeting about that a little bit, and I told her we'd get into a discussion. So House Bill 5002, Vicky has, it's basically a massive housing bill. It's really a community development bill that, in a sense, didn't have a whole lot of community involvement in it, in the development of it. So the bill, while it has some good intentions, I think all of us know that affordable housing is a challenge for our families, for our seniors, for our kids, what have you. But I think the bill is just extremely aggressive, extremely unclear in some areas. It's a variety of interventions that have been largely led by developers and housing advocates that I think mean well and want to promote affordability. But there's so many things that really don't work well in communities like Trumbull and other communities that are 98% developed. There's a lot of unintended consequences of what they're proposing. There's a sort of a overreach is probably an understatement in terms of taking away local control and putting more in the control of more as of right kinds of.
Mm.
I think you just froze, Rena.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can
Okay,
hear
you
you.
just came back.
Okay, so thank you for telling me. If I freeze again, just let me know. So Vicky has had put a letter out to our legislative delegation with her concerns. She followed up with a letter to the governor's office
Mhm.
asking him to veto the legislation. She also has followed up with the governor's staff individually to talk more about in detail about some of the objections and some policy ideas that would be better policy ideas than what's contained in the bill. I know she's also discussed this at MetroCog. She currently chairs the board of MetroCog at the Regional Planning Agency and Council of Governments. They've discussed it there, and I know she's been in discussions at the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities about it. So we have a lot of concerns about the bill. And we're hoping that the governor vetoes it and that they go through a better process to really think about putting together a bill that will address affordability and strategies for housing that really includes local communities in the decision making and the policy development. So does anybody have any specific questions about that bill?
No.
I think it would be a good idea to get Vicky's letter. And I have it actually with me, but Vicky's letter, that she sent to the governor. It's very similar to what she sent and circulate that to the commission.
It did come, that's where I saw it. It must have come through the town because I did sign up
Yeah,
And
if you get the blast.
and I got a copy of the letter and I did read it.
Okay, has everyone seen it, or do you think we should share it?
I don't
You're
think
talking about-
everyone's sure.
You talking about
I
the letter
have-
that was sent to the representatives, or there was a separate one sent to the
There
governor?
was also one sent to the governor, which is similar. Look, I
Okay.
think we'll send that one out to the
Yeah,
just so people have the current discussion. It's very similar. And again, I know she's had follow-up discussions with the governor's staff on it and with CCM and MetroCog, and I know that
you're freezing again.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Rena.
can you hear me?
Okay, you're
Yes.
back.
Sorry. So we'll get that out to everybody.
Thank you.
Okay. So I wanted to move along the plan of conservation and development. it's it's nearing completion, and Rob has a timeline that's been slightly adjusted for it to go to planning and zoning, I believe in August. And the mall regs we're trying to also get in August. So August is going to be an important planning and zoning meeting, that if you're available, to get involved with, that would be great. We had some grant work that's been underway. Katie just worked on a $5,000 grant application for bicycle racks. It's a micro grant, and Katie, I don't know if you want to share with the commission where those racks will be located.
So the proposed locations are at Trumbull Center, replacing the one at the Trumbull Library, Indian Ledge, and then two at Twin Brooks Park, and then one at the Town Hall campus.
So I appreciate your efforts there. Gia also was working with Katie to kind of mentor her a little bit on that too. So we've all been kind of, excited about getting that out and getting it filed tomorrow. The other thing, Katie, that you has worked on when we talked about the Upper Long Hill School restoration project, Katie helped draft a summary of the project, and it has a pitch to get people involved. So we have sort of a working document that we're going to use everywhere we go, that we talk about the project to recruit volunteers, to recruit companies that want to be involved, to send it off for grants, that kind of thing. So she did a great job drafting that. She's finalizing that with John Nair when she gets back from her trip. She's going to leave us for a few weeks, then come back. Then we're not going to want her to leave again. But you've done some great work. Chase, who isn't on tonight from what I can tell, he's our other intern. He's working on the development of a case study documenting the transformation of the area, the Lindeman Drive, Reservoir Avenue, Oakview, Cambridge Drive area. He is drafting a case study about that area, where it was, the vacancy rates, and where it is now, and what's left to do there. So he's been diligently working on that with me and with the staff, and he will continue to work on that, and we'll have that before he leaves at the end of the summer. And that case study is something that we can share within like economic development circles, planning circles. We can share with the community so that they understand what has happened in that area, where it was and where it is now. And stay tuned for that. He's also working on some other projects for us. There's many other projects that we have them on, right, G? And
Oh, plenty.
he has been kind of feeding all kinds of ideas into this internship process too. So we're really blessed. We have two outstanding interns this summer. They're making huge contributions to our department and efforts. So some grants. We also filed another historic documents grant. Remember last year we did a small grant, and the Kennedy Center members did digitization of the town council records. It provided jobs for the Kennedy Center folks. We completed that project and filed the closeout report on that today. I filed it before I left today. And that project, we will know in July if we get another grant, and then the Kennedy Center will start to do another digitization project. So what's nice is we have this ongoing relationship, and it's creating jobs for folks. I don't want to ignore the St. Joseph's property issue. The town is not, that is a state matter. However, there is an economic development opportunity there over time. So we are looking and watching and communicating with the people involved in owning the properties, because it's both the diocese, Genesis, and there's one private owner to each side of the property. So we are paying attention to that from an economic and community development perspective. There are no plans to make it hundreds and hundreds of apartments. However, there's already 200 units within the manor and probably another 100 and something within the tower. And then you have the Carmel Ridge. So it's really been sort of a housing and related services site anyway. So I think there's an opportunity from an economic development perspective over time to improve that property greatly and to re-envision some of what's there that will probably stay and perhaps some new use on the property. So none of that's been decided, but we are, because the disposition of the property has to play out, but we are talking with people involved and looking at that opportunity and making sure that whatever happens there is complementary to Long Hill Green and fits into our goals and needs for the area and for the community. We're working on some other grants with the Board of Ed for school security. I have a grant due on the 26th. So, and we've got some other things coming down the line that we're going to be applying for. So we're going to have a busy grant season coming up. Events, we had a great event with SBA on May 20th. Some of you were there. Evelyn, thank you. Justin, you were there. I don't know who else, I don't know if Layla popped in.
Fred
But
was there too.
what?
Fred was there.
Oh, yeah, Fred.
Oh, yeah,
Petrossi.
Fred came.
Fred Petrossi was there. So we had a great event with SBA. They brought a bunch of free resources to help the business community. I've had 2 follow-ups of businesses from that event that had no idea all of this was available to them and very excited about it. And these are Trumbull folks. So that was great. And we've got a lot of great feedback on that event. So I think it went well. And I want to thank Gia for helping to coordinate with SBA a lot of the logistics and the setup of the event. It was a great job. We have our breakfast coming up. We're holding 2 dates. We'll hopefully have that firmed up in the next few weeks. We're holding both October 24th and October 31st. So we're leaning toward the 31st, but we have a speaker that we're pursuing and we have to see which day works better for the speaker. So we do have a really good speaker coming, I think, that I can secure and more on that once we nail that down. But we're ahead of the game this year we're always pretty much on top of it, but we're ahead of the game on the speaker side. So hopefully we get that worked out and we can get moving quickly on all the logistics. Folks, while I'm talking about the Trumbull Marriott, many of you probably know that the Trumbull Marriott was sold from corporate to a franchise. We see that as positive, very positive. While the property sold for less than it's valued in the town, it's sold with a condition that it goes through a full renovation, and that will add tremendous value to that property, which hadn't been renovated in years and was in, a declining position. It was a corporate Marriott. It is now a franchise Marriott. They are going to do the first in the state co-branding with their Element brand. I don't know if you're familiar with that, if you travel. It's sort of, 200 of the rooms that they're going to renovate as traditional rooms, and 50 will be these Element, one second. Somebody's trying to call me. So these Element brand rooms. So, they've given me some other details on the renovation that I'll report down the line. I'm in the process of setting up a meeting with the new general manager, Vicky and myself. But I'm very encouraged that the property sold is going to remain a hotel, because it was a property that I was watching and concerned about the future disposition of. So we're excited that it's going to be a hotel. That we are working with them to help them restaff the hotel. We've got the Department of Labor involved and others. As I said, and they're going to be making a major investment in the property. Okay,
Mhm.
so Restaurant Week, I'm going to turn over some conversation to my job is really to raise the sponsorships and make sure the restaurants participate. And then Gia does a lot of the marketing. She does the advertising, marketing, and she's helping to coordinate the meetings. So Gia, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, thank you. So we are trying to get a bit of an earlier start this year, and I'm trying to organize our team of volunteers. We do already have Evelyn and Fred, so I was hoping to get maybe one more commission member. We don't necessarily want 4 in the meetings because we don't want to have a quorum. But there'll be other opportunities to help outside of that as well down the line. But if anybody's interested in participating in the planning team or knows people who might be really good helps, that would be so appreciated. The team helps with restaurant outreach along with Rena, helps get our lawn signs in the ground, helps brainstorm ways to improve the event, and really is like you guys and is kind of a liaison to the business community throughout the process. So any extra help is very welcome.
Yeah, Gia, you can add me as a third then.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. We did lose one of our key volunteers
Mhm.
who was unbelievable, Kat Lammy. She moved away, Lammy, and she was like a one-woman machine on the signs and on the restaurant, so we're down a really key
Yeah.
person.
I
So
miss her a lot.
yeah, hands. I have to, get moving on the sponsorships. We did really well on sponsorships last year. Um, so I'm hoping we'll be okay this year. I'm starting to get a little concerned. I thought the economy would be, picking up. There's a lot of things going on right now, and I don't know, we'll go back initially to our year after year sponsors. But if anybody here has an idea of a new sponsor, someone who might want to step up, Justin, we are going to be coming to Newtown again. Um, so hopefully they'll sponsor it. But if anybody here has any ideas about different sponsors, we can send out a list of who sponsored last year.
Mhm.
And I will be going back to all of those folks, but others that you think might be great sponsors, we could really use some new ideas. I keep going to, we got the transit district last year was new, so that was great. But again, it's tough. We're really hitting up the same people in town for multiple things, so okay.
What did you tell us the date?
So right now I'm tentatively looking at October 3rd to the 10th. It does avoid Sacred Heart's Parents Weekend this year. I called and triple checked that one.
Mhm.
But I do want to still double check with our neighboring towns just to make sure they're not planning anything. Usually their dates come a little bit later, so I'm hoping that we're fine. But we're not largely advertising that until I'm able to
Yeah.
double check. And last year we did discuss possibly doing a 10-day event, which is something the team will discuss further. Right now, we're just planning for 7 days or 8 days like usual.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Rena.
don't,
Oh. I just wanted to take a moment to just say if anybody's out of business cards, please let us know. We will order more if needed.
Also, Gia and I were talking, if anybody wants any of our economic development postcards because you want to drop a line to somebody that you had a good experience with or whatever, we have those. They're branded, so you can just write a note on it. Or if you stop in to see somebody and you're giving them your business card, you can follow up saying it was great talking to you. Thank you for being a part of the Trumbull business community and signing your name or whatever on it. So we have some of those cards. We were going to give them out if we met in person, but we're doing Zoom, so we'll have them available at the next meeting as well. Or you can just stop by the office, or we can get them to you if you want some. At the next meeting also, you're gonna see, Region Magazine, which is the BRBC's annual magazine that they put out, and they distribute it very widely. There's an article on Trumbull. Each year I write an article for the magazine. Last year we did the mall was our focus. The year before we did our corporate park. The year before that, we did the area by Lindeman Drive. This year I did the Long Hill Green area. So just sort of sharing with that. So we'll get that out to everybody so that you can see it. And they've been very generous with us, the BRBC, in allowing us to give these magazines out at our events too. And it's a nice highlight of things happening in the region from an economic development perspective. So I don't think there's anything else. There's many, many, many other things going on, but I don't have anything else that's so hot that I had to talk about it. But if anybody here has any questions on anything.
If we could just circle back real quick to the Veterans Center funding gap.
Yes.
Has there been any consideration to scaling back the plans, or is it too late for that?
So I think George Wiles, who's the architect on that, is meeting with the contractor soon to take a look at what can be scaled back. So there will be some savings there, but you know, the construction costs are what they are for the building. You know what I mean? It's like costs are just really high. So I think any project is going to be, we thought we might be having some moderation in prices, but with everything going on in the world, I think you're just seeing prices stay up there and even increase.
Gotcha, thanks. And
Shame.
Long Hill Green space that's being renovated, is there a design in place that we can see, or is it we just have a concept right now?
No, there's a design. There's an actual design we can send out. I've made it available to people, in the announcement that went out about what's happening there. It says to contact me if you're interested in seeing the full design. And I've heard from quite a number of people, so we can send that out. Basically, there's a lot of grading issues that had to occur because if you weren't walking on the green, you don't know that it was, it was not level. So it's hard to think about using it in any sensible way because it was so, pitted and lopsided and stuff. So a lot of work you're seeing is grading. There's also walkways that are being redone. You can see they're staked out and they'll be done in that permeable pavers with a stormwater management system under them. So it's actually a green infrastructure project. We're using grant money to do that component of the work, like that whole plaza was done in the area out in front of Franco Gianni's. Same product, same design for the stormwater management. So that's a real area where we're showcasing what green infrastructure can do for an area to capture water and pollutants and keep them out of the Pequannock River watershed, the Pequannock watershed. And also what will happen on that site, there'll be some signage that says like, welcome to Long Hill Green, but a nicer signage. We had wanted to do a stone wall with, Long Hill Green on it. DOT would not allow us to do stone. So we're doing, because they felt it was too permanent and it would have to be well out of the, the right of way, which is very, very big there. So we just went to what they consider not permanent, which is wood, because it can be removed easier, right? So we're doing a wood sign, a little bit upgraded from our traditional adopt a ramp type sign, but the same branding, but just an elevated version of that. You'll see on the site, you'll see some additional plantings on the site and some benches, a bike rack. It's a very functional design. It's not overdone. The 1,000 Trees for Trumbull effort through the Conservation Commission has allowed us to use up to $10,000 for our tree inventory that we'll be putting on there. But we don't want so many trees that it blocks the businesses too. It was one of the things we heard from the businesses. They wanted more visibility. and the ability to use the green more, for it to be cleaned up and so forth. So I think it's gonna look great. There is gonna be a sprinkler system there, so, and there will be sod installed. So there will be, as soon as the project's wrapped up, there'll be grass pretty quickly. You know, the sod will get, it'll need to get solidified, but there'll be greenscape there soon. So that's pretty much the elements of that.
Thank you, Rena.
Sure.
Does anybody have any other questions?
No.
I do want to note there was a flyer emailed out to you guys, and we used it at our business resource event and kind of highlights some of the things our department does. If you wanted to use that as a tool when you're visiting businesses, I think it's a good help, and it has Rena's contact information right on there as well.
Okay.
Does everybody have that? Did we get that to everybody?
No,
I just sent it out today, so I'll resend it
okay.
with all these other materials as well.
Okay, so
Okay.
everybody go through your emails. There's a bunch of news articles, and then this other good information is there. And Gia's been working with our interns and our Bill Chin and Patty Zablocki on our web pages and our Business Resource Center. I want to just recognize Bill, poor Bill. He's got so much to do, but he's done a lot of work improving the website, and I think it's going in a great direction, and he's always helping us. So we do appreciate that very much. Thank you, Bill.
And it doesn't look like we have anyone here for a BRBC update, but we can reach out to Fred or Dan.
Yeah, I think Dan's traveling and Fred wasn't able to come. I think he was traveling. Did I see an attendee? Oh no, that's Layla. Okay, I got it.
Bill, do we have anybody from the community? No? Okay. All right. Anything else from anybody?
no.
Do you have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
In a second.
I'm sorry. We do not have a July meeting, right?
Right.
And we have an August meeting. So if I can just ask that we put the zoning regulations on the agenda to discuss for the August meeting. And if what we will do, you should look at the existing zoning memo in the back of the plan, and then there might be some minor tweaks to that, and we can get that out to you. But if we can discuss whether the commission feels they want to take an official stand, or people can just do that individually at the August meeting, okay?
Thanks, Rena. Do we have a second to adjourn?
I'll second.
All right,
I
thanks.
second.
All in favor?
I
Anyone want to stay? All right.
Bill wants to
Thanks.
stay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Bye.
everybody.